Once upon a time, high up in the misty mountains, there was an adventurous boy named Leo. Leo loved exploring the vast wilderness surrounding his cozy mountain cabin. One sunny morning, as he was wandering through the lush green forest, he stumbled upon a hidden meadow. To his surprise, there were 3 little rabbits hopping around playfully. The first rabbit had snow-white fur, so Leo named him Snowball. The second rabbit was light brown with a tiny white patch on its chin. Leo called her Cinnamon. The last one was fluffy and gray, and Leo decided to name her Cloud. The 3 rabbits seemed very friendly, and they chirped happily as Leo approached them. Leo spent all afternoon playing with Snowball, Cinnamon, and Cloud. They dashed between the trees and rolled in the soft grass. The rabbits taught Leo how to listen to the wind and find tasty clovers hidden in the meadow. In return, Leo showed them how to find safe trails back to their burrow. As the sun began to set, the sky painted itself with colors of pink and orange. Leo knew he had to return to his cabin before nightfall. He sat down with his new furry friends and promised them he'd come back to play again. "I wish I could take you home," Leo said, "but the mountains are where you belong." Snowball nudged his hand, as if to thank him for the wonderful day. On his way back, Leo thought of how lucky he was to have found such lovely companions. He couldn't wait to return to the meadow, and perhaps even bring them a carrot or 2 next time. That night, Leo fell asleep dreaming of his next mountain adventure with Snowball, Cinnamon, and Cloud. The mountains held many secrets, and he was thrilled he had 3 new friends to discover them with. Once upon a time in a small cheery village, there lived an energetic dog named Luna and her best friend, a schoolgirl named Lucy. Luna was not just any dog. She had snowy white fur and sparkling eyes that seemed to understand every word Lucy said. Every morning, as the sun tickled the rooftops with its warm rays, Lucy would wake up, throw on her school uniform, and dart down the stairs to find Luna wagging her tail, ready for their little morning ritual. Luna and Lucy had a special walk they took down the winding path to school, filled with laughter, skipping stones, and imaginary games. One bright Tuesday morning, as Lucy and Luna strolled down their much-loved path, something extraordinary happened. As they passed Mrs. Maple's enormous garden full of sunflowers, Luna's ears perked up. Luna darted towards the fence, barking and wagging her tail furiously. Lucy, puzzled, followed her. Peeking through the fence, they saw a small, colorful bird tangled in the sunflowers, flapping its wings and trying to free itself. Lucy, with her kind heart and quick mind, instantly knew they had to help. "Stay with the bird, Luna," she said softly, as if Luna could understand. Lucy sprinted back home, grabbed a small pair of scissors from the kitchen, and hurried back to the garden. Luna loyally stayed by the little bird's side, nuzzling it gently with her nose, calming it. With precise, careful snips, Lucy clipped away the tangled threads entrapping the bird. It soon fluttered free, perched momentarily on Luna's head as if to say thank you, before soaring into the sky. Lucy giggled at her friend's new role as a bird taxi, and Luna barked happily. "We did it, Luna," Lucy exclaimed, hugging her furry companion tightly. By the time they reached school, Lucy had a wonderful story to share. Her classmates oohed and awed as they listened, captivated by the tale of friendship and courage. From that day onwards, Luna and Lucy's morning walk became a little bit famous, and every now and then, they'd hear the joyful chirp of a special little bird fluttering by, adding a sprinkle of magic to their daily routine.
As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an orange glow across the suburban neighborhood, Sarah sat by the window, lost in a riveting novel. Her reading was abruptly interrupted by the familiar sound of Rex, her loyal golden retriever, barking fiercely at the front door. Rex had a keen sense of hearing and an uncanny ability to detect visitors before they even arrived. Sarah knew that his bark was never baseless. Silencing the myths of midnight paranoia, Rex's alertness had always been a reliable signal. Sarah quickly marked her place in the book and headed towards the door. Each bark seemed to grow more insistent, as if Rex was urging her to hurry. Heartbeat slightly elevated with curiosity, she peered through the peephole. The distorted view revealed a figure standing under the porch light, just outside the door, their features not entirely visible. It's probably just another neighbor dropping by, Sarah thought, hoping to maintain a casual demeanor. Yet, a tinge of nervousness lingered as she grasped the cold doorknob. Rex continued to bark, his tail wagging furiously, as if he was both guarding and welcoming the mystery person simultaneously. "Who is it, boy?" she asked. Taking a deep breath, she twisted the doorknob and pulled the door open, revealing the identity of the visitor. To her surprise, it was her old friend David, whom she hadn't seen in years. Dressed in casual clothes and carrying a small package. David looked at Sarah with a wide grin. "Surprise. I was just passing by and thought I'd drop in. Is this a bad time?" he inquired, noticing Rex's enthusiasm, who now affectionately nudged against him. Relief washed over Sarah, her initial apprehensions dissolving into warmth. "David. It's so good to see you." "Not at all, come in," she replied, stepping aside to let him in. Rex, ever the friendly host, was the first to welcome David. Sarah quickly glanced at the package. "What's that?" "Just a little something I picked up for you," David replied with a wink. The night unfolded with old stories, laughter, and new memories, all beginning with the reliable signal of a dog's bark at the door. A camel and a monkey were walking through the desert. The sun was blazing hot, and the sand seemed endless. The camel, used to the harsh conditions, walked steadily, while the monkey, not accustomed to such heat, struggled to keep up. As they walked, the monkey complained about the heat and the lack of water, while the camel remained silent, conserving its energy. Eventually, they came across an oasis. The monkey, overjoyed, rushed to the water and drank eagerly. The camel, however, took its time, knowing that it needed to drink enough to sustain itself for the journey ahead. After resting in the shade of the palm trees, the monkey felt rejuvenated and began to play around, climbing the trees. The camel, on the other hand, lay down to rest, knowing the journey was far from over. As the sun began to set, the monkey and the camel prepared to continue their journey through the desert. The monkey, now more aware of the challenges of the desert, decided to follow the camel's lead and conserve energy. Together, they moved on, the camel leading the way with its steady pace, and the monkey following closely, learning from its companion. Once upon a time, in the vast and colorful jungle, there lived a mighty lion named Leo. He was always very proud of his magnificent mane and strong roar that echoed through the trees. Leo was the king of the jungle, and he loved to remind everyone about it. In the same jungle, there was also a clever monkey named Maximum. Max was known for his quick wit and ability to solve problems that no one else could. The other animals often came to him for advice and friendly chats. One sunny morning, Leo was about to cross a rickety old bridge over a deep ravine to get to his favorite resting spot. As he was about to step onto the bridge, Max appeared, swinging from a nearby tree. "Leo, wait!" Max shouted, hurrying to stop the lion. "What is it, Max?" "I am in a hurry to bask in the sun," Leo grumbled, not stopping. Max scampered down to the ground and said, "Leo, I noticed that the bridge is quite weak. If you cross it, it might break, and you could fall into the ravine." Leo snorted, "You worry too much, little monkey. I am the king of the jungle. A bridge can't break under my mighty paws." Max thought quickly and replied, "All right, but why not let me try it first? If it holds me, then surely it will hold you too. After all, a king should not take unnecessary risks. Leo, although prideful, agreed with a shrug, thinking it would be amusing to watch Max scampered across the bridge without any trouble. However, everyone could see how the old wood creaked under even the monkey's light weight. Seeing this, Leo realized Max's warning wasn't just idle chatter. Perhaps the wise monkey is right, Leo thought to himself. Even as king, there are things beyond my strength. He thanked Max for his cleverness and decided to find another path. From that day on, Leo learned to value wisdom as much as strength, often seeking Max's counsel in jungle matters. The two became good friends, realizing that strength and wisdom together made the jungle a safer place for everyone. And so, the lion and the monkey taught all the animals in the jungle that sometimes brains are just as important as brawn, and sometimes even more so. And they all lived happily ever after.
Three friends, Max, Lila, and Omar, decided to spend their summer vacation exploring a dense, mysterious jungle near their town. Max, the adventurous one, always sought thrill and excitement. Lila, thoughtful and witty, loved nature and the secrets it held. Omar, though cautious, was curious and detailed in his observations. On a bright morning, with backpacks filled with essentials, they embarked on their journey. As they wandered deeper into the jungle, the towering trees and the sounds of distant animals enveloped them in a world unknown. Amazing, Lila whispered, pointing to colorful birds flying overhead. And look at those footprints, Omar noted, crouching down to examine them. Could be from some exotic animal. Max charged ahead excitedly. Let's follow them. We might discover something incredible. They followed the footprints, leading them to a large clearing where they stumbled upon a hidden waterfall. The waterfall cascaded into a crystal-clear pool, and the sight was mesmerizing. Max ran towards the waterfall, feeling the mist on his skin. This is incredible. Lila began photographing the scenery, each snapshot capturing the jungle's vibrant life. Meanwhile, Omar noticed peculiar plants near the water's edge. These plants are unusual, Omar said, taking out his field guide. They're not native to this area. As the sun began to dip below the canopy, casting long shadows, Lila suggested, we should head back before it gets too dark. Agreeing, the trio decided to mark the spot to return another day. While retracing their steps, the jungle seemed even more alive. Strange noises surrounded them, and shadows shifted eerily. Suddenly, a rustling in the bushes stopped them in their tracks. Heart-pounding, they waited. A pair of curious eyes peeked out. It was a small monkey, examining the unexpected visitors. Relieved, they laughed, realizing their fears were unfounded. It's an adventure we'll never forget, Max declared, the others nodding in agreement. Back at the edge of the jungle, the friends paused, looking back at the path they had taken. Despite the uncertainty of the jungle, it had brought them closer. The adventure ignited their sense of discovery and wonder. Let's plan our next adventure, Lila said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. As they walked home under the fading light, each of them knew this was only the beginning of many explorations to come.
Once in a quaint village, a merchant set off for the market, accompanied by his faithful donkey. Laden with sacks of salt, the merchant hoped for a profitable day. Their path led them to cross a meandering stream that sparkled in the early morning sun, the water babbling gently over smooth stones. As they reached midstream, the donkey, perhaps due to the weight or the slipperiness of the riverbed, stumbled and fell into the water. The merchant shouted in alarm and frustration as the donkey thrashed about. Yet, upon regaining its footing and emerging from the stream, the donkey realized that the load had become significantly lighter. The water had dissolved a good portion of the salt. None the wiser, The merchant decided to return the following day, his donkey again carrying bags of salt. Unbeknownst to the merchant, the donkey had taken note of its good fortune. As they reached the stream once more, the donkey accidentally slipped into the water again. The merchant, flustered, hauled the soaking creature out once more, puzzled by the repeated slip. Realizing the situation was not coincidental, the merchant understood that his crafty donkey had outwitted him. Determined to teach the animal a lesson, the next day he filled the bags with sponges instead of salt. Again they set off towards the market. The donkey, anticipating a repeat of its clever trick, deliberately tripped into the stream. However, much to the donkey's dismay, the load became exorbitantly heavier as the sponges absorbed the stream's water. Triumphant, the merchant watched his drenched and now remorseful companion complete the journey without further theatrics. As they reached the market with dry sacks, the donkey had learned its lesson. Trickery may bring temporary relief, but often at a greater cost. Meanwhile, the merchant chuckled to himself, appreciating his own cunning solution and the unusual bond between them. From then on, they traveled without mishaps, united in their mutual understanding. In the heart of a bustling village lay a modest hut, sheltered to a family of 9. The Singh family, comprised of Ravi, his wife Sita, and their 7 spirited children, had called this small, humble abode their home for over a decade. Ravi, a farmer by trade, poured his heart into every square inch of his modest plot. The family's life was simple, governed by the rhythms of the land, cultivating their fields to provide food and a meager income. While financial stability eluded their grasp, the Singh household brimmed with laughter, love, and the scent of Sita's delicious cooking. Despite its size, the hut was the perfect illustration of organized chaos. During the day, it would hum with the soft chatter of Sita and the children as they went about their chores. The oldest, Priya, was 12 and took on the role of caretaker for her younger siblings, helping Sita with tasks that required an extra set of hands. Even the youngest, Arjun, no more than 3, was part of this vibrant cacophony, his infectious giggles acting as the backdrop to their lives. As dusk settled, the family would gather outside the hut, its walls swaying gently from the evening breeze. Ravi would regale the children with stories of stars and ancient heroes, while Sita watched on, her eyes twinkling with an inner light as the children hung on their father's every word. One year, their crops suffered due to an unexpected drought. The Singhs found themselves on the edge of despair, with concerns about food and resources looming large. Ravi and Sita faced sleepless nights pondering ways to protect their loved ones. A solution presented itself in the shape of community support. The villagers, recognizing the family's plight, came together to offer food, water, and even seeds for the next planting season. The Singhs discovered strength and kindness they'd never anticipated, and the family forged bonds that went beyond just neighborliness. As the months passed, the hut became less a symbol of confinement and more of resilience and unity. The struggles only reinforced the love that bound them, and they emerged not just a family sharing a space, but a tighter unit, full of gratitude and hope. The single sunlit window of the hut reframed their vision of success, teaching them true richness was not in material wealth, but in the unwavering support cultivated both inside its walls and beyond. The village had its stories and legends, but none as heartwarming as that of the Singh family, whose spirit turned a small hut into the very cornerstone of community and love. Once upon a time, in the heart of the jungle, there lived a crocodile named Kalu. Kalu was notorious for his cunning nature and his sharp, deadly teeth, which he used to terrorize anyone who dared to cross his path. One day, while sunbathing on the banks of the shimmering river, Kalu spotted a clever jackal named Jeepi. Unlike Kalu, Jeepi was known for his wit and sharp intellect, attributes that had saved him from many tricky situations. Kalu, who was always scheming, thought of a plan to catch and eat Jeepi. Ah, a tasty jackal! If only I could lure him close enough, Kalu mused to himself. As he formulated his plan, GP happened to pass by, humming a cheerful tune. "Why, hello there, GP," called Kalu in his warmest voice. "I was just admiring your cleverness, and thought perhaps you could assist me. I've come across a treasure map, but I cannot decipher it all by myself. You being so wise, might help me find this treasure." GP, though cautious, was intrigued by the mention of treasure. He approached cautiously, always keeping a wary eye on the sly crocodile. "A treasure, you say? Let me have a look," said GP, maintaining a safe distance. Kalu presented GP with a piece of leaf he claimed was the map. GP quickly scanned the markings, his clever mind working at lightning speed. As he studied it, he noticed no real directions, only scribbles meant to mislead. "Ah, I see now," GP said aloud, keeping his tone even. "This map doesn't lead to treasure, Kalu. It leads to a spot where the humans often leave their rubbish. There's food, yes, but nothing of value, unless you're interested in leftovers." Realizing his plot had been foiled, Kalu feigned surprise. "Oh, I must have been mistaken. Thank you, GP. It's so good to have such a wise jackal help me," he said, struggling to hide his disappointment. GP chuckled, recognizing Kalu's defeat. "Well, always happy to lend a hand, Kalu," he stated with a twinkle of mischief in his eye. "But remember, wisdom is the best treasure there is. Next time, perhaps honesty will serve you better." With that, GP flitted away, leaving behind a humbled crocodile. Kalu realized that wits and honesty often outshone even the sharpest teeth, and from that day, the jungle was a slightly kinder place, thanks to the clever jackal. Once upon a time, in the lush green fields of Willow Farm, there lived a noble horse named Bramble. He was known for his strength and speed, winning the admiration of all the animals. His days were spent galloping through meadows, his mane flowing like a golden river. Yet, despite his popularity, Bramble often felt a void in his heart, longing for a true friend. On the other side of the farm, in a humble coop, dwelled a sprightly chicken named Cluck. Cluck had a lively spirit and an insatiable curiosity about the world beyond the confines of her pen. She dreamed of adventure and longed to see the world that stretched far beyond the chicken wire. One crisp morning, fate intervened as Cluck managed to wriggle through a tiny gap in the fence, her eyes wide with wonder. She wandered the farm, soaking in the sights and sounds, until she stumbled upon the magnificent stall where Bramble resided. At first, Bramble eyed the small intruder with mild curiosity. What could a little chicken want from the likes of him? Cluck, unbothered by the size disparity, introduced herself with a friendly cluck and an enthusiastic scratch of the dirt. Her zest for life intrigued Bramble, and soon, they began to engage in small conversations, sharing tales of the farm. Their friendship blossomed as they spent more time together. Cluck would joyfully perch atop Bramble's broad back, feeling like she was flying, while Bramble took gentle trots around the farm. He reveled in Cluck's stories and admired her unyielding courage, while Cluck was enchanted by Bramble's wisdom and the sense of protection he provided. One afternoon, as they were exploring the farthest corner of the farm, a sudden storm rolled in. The sky darkened and the winds howled. Frightened, Cluck nestled closer to Bramble, who instinctively shielded her from the downpour with his body. The storm passed, but it marked a turning point in their friendship. Cluck realized the depth of Bramble's unwavering loyalty, while Bramble understood the importance of Cluck's fearless spirit. From that day forth, Bramble and Cluck were inseparable. Their bond was a testament to the idea that true friendship knows no bounds, not even those imposed by size or species. Together, they explored the wonders of Willow Farm, teaching every animal that friendship is about heart and courage. And thus, Bramble and Cluck lived happily, inspiring dreams and laughter wherever their hooves and claws ventured. In the bustling town of Stitchville, where every corner was adorned with vibrant fabrics and the soft hum of sewing machines filled the air, lived a tailor named Benjamin. He was renowned for his exquisite craftsmanship and had a loyal clientele who swore by his ability to breathe life into mere threads and cloth. However, Benjamin had a little secret, a makeshift studio under his shop, which was shared with an unlikely partner, Timothy, a wise and nimble mouse. Timothy wasn't just any ordinary mouse. He possessed a keen eye for fashion. With a flick of his tiny paws, he could pattern out the most intricate designs Benjamin had ever seen. The tailor discovered Timothy by accident one night, while fetching a fallen spool under the cabinet. He noticed a tiny tuxedo on a hanger, flawlessly stitched next to the mouse's nest. Beside it lay bits of fabric scraps, and a thimble which Timothy had fashioned into a makeshift sewing station. Impressed by the mouse's talent, Benjamin decided to keep his little accomplice a secret and a partner. They made a perfect team. Benjamin provided the muscle, working the heavy sewing machine, while Timothy offered design insights and helped with intricate hand-sewing tasks. This partnership elevated the tailor's creations, catching the eyes of even more clients, including the royalty of Stitchville. Orders poured in for gowns, suits, and royal garments, each crafted with equal parts human effort and mouse magic. One day, a notable duke commissioned a gown for his wife's birthday ball. The gown required such intricacy that it left Benjamin anxious. They began their tireless work, Timothy sketching by night and Benjamin sewing by day. However, as the ball drew near, disaster struck. The spool that formed the central design ripped, leaving Benjamin in despair. In a surprising twist, Timothy rallied the other mice in the town's underworld, each bringing their learned skills and specially curated scraps. Together, they worked tirelessly to fix the design. On the eve of the ball, a sumptuous piece was ready, just in time for the Duke to collect. The ball was a grand success, the gown being the talk of the evening, and the Duchess, utterly radiant, won the heart of the guests. From that day on, the secret studio became known as a place where magic and thread danced together. The tailor and the mouse both appreciated for the beauty they brought into the world. In a serene forest clearing, where sunlight shimmered through the leaves and a gentle breeze whispered tales of the wild, lived a wise old dove named Leora. Known for her graceful wings and gentle heart, Leora spent her days wandering the lush greenery, spreading peace and kindness wherever she fluttered. Her presence was a soothing balm to the forest and its creatures, who cherished her gentle demeanor and listened intently to her stories of wisdom. One day, a hunter named Elias stumbled upon the serene landscape, his heart heavy with the burdens that life had unfairly bestowed upon him. With a bow in one hand and a quiver of arrows slung across his back, Elias had long sought solace in the form of successful hunts. To him, nature was a game, a place where hunter and prey engaged in a dance of survival, with him usually emerging as the victor. Yet deep inside, Elias was weary, longing for something more than the fleeting satisfaction of the hunt. As the sun cast amber hues across the forest, Elias spotted Leora perched upon a tree, the dove's pearlescent feathers glowing like moonlight against the darkening sky. His instincts urged him to raise his bow, to make this dove his prize. Yet something stopped him, a softness in Leora's gaze that pierced through his rough exterior, unraveling the bitterness that had long cocooned his soul. Leora, sensing Elias's inner turmoil, spoke in her gentle voice, a sound like a sweet melody carried by the wind. "Dear hunter, not all journeys must end in conquest. Sometimes we find ourselves in the serenity of understanding, the quiet peace of letting go." Elias hesitated, his finger brushing against the taut string of his bow before lowering it. Conflicted by the dove's unexpected words, he found himself captivated, his curiosity overriding his hunter's instincts. "What do you mean?" he asked. The dove continued, "True peace is found not in the defeat of another, but in the harmony we create within ourselves and the world around us. Listen to the forest's whispers. It has much to teach those who are willing to hear." Lowering his bow entirely, Elias looked around, truly noticing the forest for the first time. The rustling leaves, the soft chirps, the gentle stream nearby. They were alive with a song he had never stopped to hear. In that moment, Elias realized that he had been hunting for peace, not prey. Their encounter marked the beginning of a profound change in Elias. No longer did he roam the forest as the hunter. Instead, he walked as a guardian of nature, learning from its quiet beauty and sharing Leora's wisdom with others. In the end, it was Leora's gentle spirit that transformed Elias's heart, teaching him that the greatest conquest lies in nurturing the world around him. In the bustling town of Meridian, there was a circus known for its enthralling performances. The crown jewel of the spectacle was a majestic lion named Brutus, under the command of a seasoned ringmaster, Harold. Brutus was famous not only for his intimidating presence, but also for his obedience and the remarkable bond he shared with his master. Brutus was not like any other lion. Behind his fierce exterior, there laid a soul of gentleness and wisdom. Harold, the ringmaster, had raised him since he was a cub. Their relationship was stitched together with affection and mutual respect. Through years, Harold trained Brutus with a delicate balance of authority and compassion. Every evening, the audience packed the circus tent, eagerly awaiting the lion's act. Brutus would leap through flaming hoops, stand majestically on a rolling ball, and perform other enchanting tricks with such grace that it seemed almost magical. The children would gasp in astonishment, while the adults marveled at the lion's grace and Harold's command. However, one stormy night, as the winds howled against the canvas of the big top, a thunderous noise scared the animals. Panic spread among them like wildfire, and chaos erupted backstage. The loud sound had shaken them to their core. Brutus, too, was on edge, relaying his discomfort through low growls. Sensing his beloved lion's distress, Harold hurried to Brutus' enclosure. Instead of shouting commands, he sat beside the gate, speaking softly to the lion, as he had done countless times before. His calm demeanor seemed to seep into Brutus, who slowly approached Harold, nuzzling against him for reassurance. Harold opened the cage door, guided Brutus to the center of the ring, and the two of them stood amidst the booming echoes of thunder. Staring into the lion's eyes, Harold whispered words only Brutus could understand. In that moment of shared energy, the storm outside ceased to matter. The audience, who had stayed despite the storm, was spellbound. They watched mesmerized, as Harold and Brutus performed a silent dance of trust and courage, a testament to the unique bond between man and beast. As the act concluded in silence, the crowd erupted in cheers, acknowledging something profound and rare. From then on, the tale of the lion and his master spread far and wide, reminding everyone that true mastery is laced with empathy and understanding, a lesson that circuses and those beyond its tent could cherish. The emergency room buzzed with a symphony of beeping monitors, the shuffle of hurried footsteps, and the whispered prayers of worried relatives. It was a place where life hung by a thread, and every second counted. Among the whitewashed walls and hard plastic chairs, the air was thick with the smell of antiseptic and the undertone of desperation. Dr. Emma Johnston was a calm presence in the midst of chaos, her steady hands and sharp mind saving lives night after night. She moved quickly between patients, her sharp blue eyes missing nothing. "Nurse, I need 5 cc's of adrenaline here, stat," she ordered as she examined a young man on a stretcher. Across the room, Benjamin, a paramedic seasoned by years on the streets, was adjusting a patient's oxygen mask. He wore his experience like a badge, but tonight's cases unsettled him, gnawing at the armored exterior he'd built over years of service. "This one's touch and go," he thought, casting a worried glance at the heart monitor. Amidst the chaos, Olivia, a newly recruited nurse, tried to suppress her anxiety. Tonight was her first major shift in the emergency ward. Her heart skipped as the stretcher rolled in with a child, no older than 7, with a teddy bear clutched in his hand and blood trickling down his brow. In the corner sat Mrs. Harrison, her hand clutching the talisman of hope, a crumpled photograph of her son. It had all happened so fast. One moment they were laughing in the car, and the next, a screech of tires, the shattering of glass. Her son was one of Dr. Johnston's patients, and she could only pray for a miracle. A moment of silence enveloped the room, as everyone focused intensely on their tasks, as if the world outside had melted away. And in that stillness, Dr. Johnston carefully performed a procedure that would determine the young man's fate. The clock ticked on, measuring lives saved and hope restored. The ward operated like a fine-tuned machine, as each player acted out their part in the larger drama of life and death. It was a place where trust in each other was paramount, and despite the chaos, each heart beat fiercely, refusing to yield. In the small, warm-lit classroom of Maplewood Elementary, two little girls, Lucy and Emma, were known for their mischievous grins and imaginations that ran wild. Lucy, with her curly auburn hair and freckles, was the more adventurous of the two, always eager to explore new ideas. Emma, her best friend, was quieter but carried a twinkle in her eye, suggesting that her thoughts were just as lively. One sunny Tuesday morning, as the class bustled with excitement over the upcoming art project, Lucy and Emma sat huddled at the back of the room. Their teacher, Miss Harper, a kind woman with glasses perched precariously on her nose, was explaining the day's assignment, creating a picture that depicted their favorite place. Lucy nudged Emma and whispered, "Let's make the best art piece ever, with a twist." Their eyes sparkled with mischief as they set their plan into motion. Pulling out their crayons, the two concocted a scene that wasn't part of the world they lived in, but a fantasy land filled with talking animals and enchanted forests. As Miss Harper wandered around the class, offering guidance and praise, she finally made her way to the back where Lucy and Emma were fervently drawing. She paused and tilted her head, looking at the swirling colors and the imaginative world taking shape on their paper. "Girls, this is quite creative," she said with a soft smile. "But it seems to be off topic from what was assigned." Emma, grinning sheepishly, replied, "We thought it might be fun to draw where we'd like to spend a day, not just our favorite place here on Earth." Lucy nodded enthusiastically. Miss Harper tapped her chin, pondering their explanation. "Tell you what," she responded kindly. "Why don't you two finish this piece as your own special project, and then create another one that fits today's assignment?" The girls beamed at the compromise, thrilled to have their creativity nurtured rather than stifled. As the classroom buzzed on, Lucy and Emma set to work, finishing their magical illustration before diving back into the task at hand. Satisfied with their small mischief, and the chance to dream a little bigger in Miss Harper's classroom. In the quaint village of Eldenbrook, nestled between rolling hills and verdant fields, lived a group of mischievous children, renowned for their knack for getting into trouble. Among them were the adventurous Max, the ever-curious Lily, and the witty yet sometimes reckless Tom. These three friends were inseparable, and were always on the lookout for their next great adventure, much to the chagrin of the village elders. One bright summer's morning, as the sun painted long shadows over the cobblestone streets, the trio gathered by the ancient oak tree. That was where Tom, with a mischievous glint in his eyes, shared his latest idea. "I heard old Mr. Hargrove's orchard is ripe with apples," he revealed with a teasing whisper, knowing well that the orchard was off limits due to Mr. Hargrove's notorious temper. Driven by the thrill of the forbidden, Max and Lily nodded eagerly. The plan was simple. They would sneak into the orchard at dusk, fill their satchels with apples, and be gone before anyone was the wiser. As the day wore on, their excitement grew, but so did their reluctance. Tom's plan, after all, had a streak of risk about it that even they couldn't ignore. As the sun dipped and the sky blushed with hues of pink and orange, the three made their way to the orchard, hearts pounding with adrenaline. However, unbeknownst to them, Mrs. Collins had seen them. Mrs. Collins, a sharp-eyed neighbor, had seen them plotting earlier under the oak, and had warned Mr. Hargrove. Upon reaching the orchard, Max, Lily, and Tom were stealthy as cats. But just as they picked their first apple, a stern voice cut through the still night air. A bit late for harvesting, don't you think? Mr. Hargrove emerged from the shadows, his lantern casting a flickering light. Panic-stricken, the children froze. Caught red-handed, the trio was taken to the village square the following morning to face the elders. They were asked to explain their actions, and in their mumbled apologies, they revealed their motivation. "We only wanted to taste the apples no one ever gets to touch." In a surprising twist, instead of the scolding they expected, the elders decided on a fitting punishment. The children were tasked with helping Mr. Hargrove in his orchard for the rest of the season. As they worked under the warm sun, not only did they come to value the fruits of the labor, but they also discovered the true treasure was not the apples themselves. The true treasure was the stories shared, and the lessons learned alongside the gruff, yet surprisingly wise Mr. Hargrove. Deep in the heart of the lush, vibrant jungle, there existed a tribe of elephants known as the Wundanu. Their leader, a wise and gentle matriarch named Tara, guided the herd with her vast knowledge and empathetic spirit. The Wundanu thrived in their natural habitat, where the symphony of the river and the whisper of the wind through the trees were their constant companions. Tara was more than just a leader. She was the keeper of their history, sharing stories of past generations with the young calves. She taught them how to forage for the ripest fruits, and about the hidden dangers lurking in the shadows. Across the ocean lay a different world, set within the confines of steel and stone, a place where some of Tara's distant kin lived, the city zoo. Among them was Zoe, a spirited young elephant with curiosity as large as her heart. Unlike Tara's herd, Zoe had grown accustomed to a life of routine, her days marked by the feeding times and the smiling faces of curious children. Zoe often yearned for something beyond the boundaries of her enclosure, imagining what life might be like in the vast stretches of the jungle she had heard of in the stories passed down by her elders. Her dearest friend in the zoo, a mischievous monkey named Max, often coaxed tales from her vivid imagination, picturing the adventures they would have if they could roam free. One moonlit night, as Zoe stood in her enclosure, she spotted a tiny butterfly perched on her gate, a rare visitor from the distant jungle perhaps. Taking it as a sign, she nudged Max awake with her trunk and whispered a plan for an escapade like no other. With the moon lighting their path, Max and Zoe embarked on a nighttime adventure, unraveling a series of unforeseen events including an encounter with a kindly zookeeper named Sam. Inspired by Zoe's determination and Max's antics, Sam decided to advocate for a more enriched environment for the animals. The news of their endeavor traveled far and wide, eventually reaching the ears of Tara through visitors who trekked the jungle. Inspired, she began leading her herd towards more interaction with the outside world, cautious exploration of nearby villages, where people shared food and stories. Through the boldness of a young elephant and the wisdom of an elder, the elephants of two worlds found connections to each other and their human friends, showing that no matter where they live, the spirit of adventure and the yearning for understanding can bridge even the widest gap. Once upon a time in the small town of Whistlewood, there was a charming little art school named Bright Strokes. It sat right on the corner of Maple Street, inviting children to explore the world of colors and creativity. The school was managed by an enthusiastic woman named Miss Clara, known for her laughter that could fill an entire room. One sunny morning, Miss Clara gathered her new class of curious 5-year-olds for the day's activity. "Today we are going to paint, but with a twist," she announced with a wink. The children's eyes widened with excitement and intrigue. Miss Clara led them to the backyard, where a large canvas awaited them. In front of it lay unique tools, bunches of flowers tied into little bundles, sponges of all shapes and sizes, and even toy cars. "We are going to paint using these," she said. The children giggled at the thought of using toy cars for painting. "How can cars paint?" Alex, an inquisitive child with curly locks, asked. "Simple. We dip the wheels in paint and roll them on the canvas to create beautiful patterns," Miss Clara explained, demonstrating with a toy car. Soon, The backyard was alive with laughter and concentration. Timmy, a shy boy with a knack for detail, was using a flower to stamp a lovely pattern of petals in warm orange, while Lisa decided to mix and match sponge shapes. Remember to use your imagination. There are no mistakes in art, only new creations, Miss Clara encouraged, her apron splattered with an array of colors. As the sun moved high above, the canvas was a tapestry of colors. The children stepped back to admire their collective masterpiece, pride written across their faces. To celebrate, Miss Clara treated everyone to a picnic under the big oak tree, where they shared stories about their colorful creations. From there, the children discovered that art wasn't just about brushes and pencils, but about using whatever your heart desires to express your imagination. And so, the children left bright strokes that day, inspired and eager for more.